Live from the Talking Joe studios, it's Talking Joe.
Talking Joe is on the air.
Hey, it's me, Mark, and welcome to Talking Joe, the G.I Joe comics podcast. Now, today we are talking about the latest issue of G.I Joe on the shelves. It's G.I Joe, A Real American Hero, 328, which was released just this past Wednesday, as at time of recording, which was May the 13th, 2026. Now, what did this issue promise us? The promise comes in the form of a synopsis, and the synopsis reads, "The secret of Snake Eyes revealed. As Dawn infiltrates the Terror Drome, she learns a shocking secret about Snake Eyes from their time in Springfield, one that could doom their future." That sounds very full of promise, but did the issue deliver against that promise? Joining me to find out, it's my regular co-host. It's a Real American Tim. It's Tim Finn.
Hello, Mark. Listeners, viewers. Hello.
It sounds like there needs to be another thing at the end of...
I was starting to say, let's let our guest in, but we're not interviewing anyone today. We don't have any guest hosts. But we did do that twice last week. So it's just some muscle memory.
Cool. Yes. Find out what one of those episodes was soon when we release it. But yes, as at the time of recording, we are live streaming via YouTube. So if you are watching live, either in the present and not in the distant past, because you won't be able to interact with us live if you're... Anyway, you get the deal. You can be like one of the cool people like Squishy. Good afternoon. And like Joe. So, Tim, this week we had New Comic Book Day with the release of the latest issue of A Real American Hero. Also on the shelves was the latest trade paperback, G.I Joe A Real American Hero Volume 5, collecting the last chunk of the Real American Hero stories, 321 up to 325. So, if you're collecting in trades or both, or triple, if you're collecting the deluxe, then that is out. Also out was the latest issue of Transformers as the new regular artist Jason Howard joins. Also out, maybe not in the last week, but recently was the deluxe hardcover of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, the first deluxe cover from the Skybound era. So this is called G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero Deluxe, Book 1. It's got two cover versions. The first with the Joes on it is by Andy Kubert, and there's a direct market variant, which is the Cobra cover by Brad Walker over Andy Kubert layouts. It collects 10 issues, 301 through to 310. So basically the first arc with the five issues from Mooneyham, and the second 5 issues by Paul Pelletier. And as you read it, there's no issue breaks apart from a break in the middle which they call Chapter 2 before there's a change of artists. And the main, git for the book is 10 process pages at the back of the book showing Mooneyham layouts and designs that look a bit like that. And then you also get 10 pages of Andy Kubert Virgin A covers. So the cover art in colour without the logos, plus the 2 equivalent trade paperback covers. So the cover that would have been on the soft cover trade paperback Volume 1 and Volume 2, collecting the first 5 and then the second lot of 5, which is contained in this volume.
When Volume 1 in softcover was released, we noted that it did not collect all 5 covers. It had one on the front cover, part of one on the back cover, and I think part of one inside somewhere. And I believe I've got all these at my shop, but I didn't double check before today. I believe volume 2 followed suit. I think starting with volume 3, the soft covers from Skybound of A Real American Hero do have all of the Andy Kubert covers. I suspect enough people wrote in and said, hey, come on. Also, this is pure conjecture based on no facts. I wonder if Andy Kubert said, hey, come on. And because Skybound's traditional process, right? It was like this for The Walking Dead. I believe it was like this for Invincible, is that the soft covers with 5 or 6 issues at a time do not collect the monthly issue covers. And then when that stuff is collected in a hardcover, like 12 issues at a time, it is contained. And then I think there was a book for The Walking Dead, which is with covers. I don't know if there was for Invincible. Anyway, can you go back to the 2 covers of the hardcover? I just want to say this out loud. Really good artists know anatomy and can draw mood and can draw really subtle acting. And I love a cover, regular cover by Andy Kubert. That Brad Walker cover, man, look at Serpentor Khan's cheekbone and then the orbit of his eye and then the sort of overhang of his eyebrow, like above his eye socket. And then again on the Cobra soldier or Cobra officer, Brad Walker does such great subtle work there with the anatomy of the planes of the face, and not just good anatomy, but Serpentor Khan has a very specific expression there. He's looking down at something. He's a little calm. He's a little smug, but he's thinking to himself internally. That's not just a stock super villain face, like calm because he's not like yelling, "This I command." And then the same thing on the Cobra soldier or the Cobra officer. And it's really striking since the 2 guys in front of them have masks and you can't see their faces. And, you know, by comparison, Stalker and Spirit on the other cover have sort of similar expressions, but the sort of added subtlety that Walker brings to this Kubert layout is extraordinary. And I had really liked Walker's, were they 1 in 10 variants for the first 10 or so issues of this series. And I'd like him to come back, and I'd like him to draw an issue, and then I'd like him to draw a lot of issues.
Very good. Also joining us live, we've got Checkpoint Alpha. We've got Greg Augustin G Unit, who is stuck in LA traffic but listening. And Squishy, who notes that he was reading the Energon trade paperback this week and it was tricky to identify the issue starts and stops without the covers. So there's sort of not much of a way of break between one issue stopping and the other beginning, particularly, I guess, for Energon universe, where you do have a consistent art team for those arcs. And they do kind of run on from one issue to another. So, interesting point.
Yeah, I think Skybound, I think this goes back to Walking Dead. Just about most issues of Walking Dead, the final panel of one issue led directly into the first panel or page of the next issue. There wasn't like 5 minutes later, an hour later, the next week. And so reading it in collected form really is more sort of in real time story logic, natural. But we are used to monthly increments, and that is how these were written. So
right. So next up, I have got the next Hama files, and they're jumping about here, there, and everywhere with these issues, but they're having a bit of a Destro focus. I think this is the 3rd Destro cover in a row from Mooneyham. Actually, Destro isn't quite so much front and center. It's more of a Baroness cover, but it's the first issue of the Wanted Dead or Alive for Destro, which is, it's a nice little arc because it had these amazing Michael Golden covers for the 3 issues. Oh, sorry, Destro Search and Destroy, not Dead and Alive. I'm thinking of another one. Oh, actually, this is part 2 of 3, not the part 1. But yeah, this arc was notable because it featured the return of Rod Wiggum to the book. So this one is out in July the 22nd, with a choice of Michael Golden for the cover A or the cover C, which is the foil edition, as well as cover B for Chris Mooneyham.
it's really fun to see letterer Rick Parker get a cover credit for G.I. Joe. We had him on the show 2 years back when his new graphic novel Drafted came out, and I had him at my store, and certainly he's moved way beyond just lettering Marvel books. But I keep, I've got this muscle memory for G.I. Joe issues from the 80s where they don't have cover credits. And then I can sort of extrapolate, like, if they do a reprint, it'll have, Hama and the penciler and the inker. Right, and the colorist. And the letterer. So that's fun. And this is a very cool Chris Mooneyham cover.
But there's that also the Michael Golden, which is such a great cover. And it will be in foil, and I'm a bit of a bit tempted by the foils sometimes. Is the foil open to order, or is that just...
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think it might be $1 more, or maybe I'm thinking of DC Comics.
It could be open to order, but slightly more. Right. Yep.
Here's a philosophical question. Chris Mooneyham has been doing all these wonderful covers, and he's also done some pinups that are starting to show up in the backs of issues and are going to be in that Order of Battle special comic for the Kickstarter. So there's all this additional artwork that he's doing. And I don't know what the exchange rate of doing a G.I. Joe cover to doing a page or half a page or a page and a half is. But Mark, would you trade no more Chris Mooneyham covers on these reprints and fun additional G.I. Joe projects in order to give him more time to draw pages of an upcoming issue?
I think I probably would, because ultimately I think story is king. There is a lot of very cool covers that I don't collect, but yeah, the story will last. So what about you, Tim?
Yes, I would. There are plenty of great artists that Skybound could tap, related to G.I. Joe or not, to do these reprint covers. And it's really fun that Mooneyham is doing them because he is a new modern G.I. Joe artist and is quickly becoming a definitive G.I. Joe artist. And part of that is actually, here's some circular logic, these covers, because now we're starting to imagine him drawing these famous old issues or scenes from them. But although, I'm so satisfied by Mr. Krahnke here on the new issue that since it doesn't feel like Mooneyham can get back to Real American Hero very often, if Krahnke and Pelletier are the new rotating team, I'm okay with that. We talked about when 321 came out, like what a special issue that was and how it seemed like Mooneyham had put a lot of extra time into it.
Yeah, there was an interesting interview that I wanted to highlight, but I don't think I actually did on this show, which was for the Kickstarter campaign. They had some interviews with the artist, and those sort of promotional interviews are often a little bit boilerplate, a bit like, here's some words, but they're going to say the thing that you expect them to say, and it's not going to sort of, it's a little bit fluff, But the Mooneyham one, it sounded like he put some real thought into his answers, and talking about the way that he'd really sort of tried to stretch himself with his work on G.I. Joe, and he feels like he sort of leveled up, and until he started on G.I. Joe, he's almost sort of considering sort of quitting as being a comic artist. So punchy stuff. If you've not seen that interview, or it's only a mini bit, but do check that out. What's next? Oh yes, just a bit of news. That this came up on the social medias. It is a commission of the Baroness, and I don't know if you've seen this one, Tim. So I was going to ask you to hazard a guess, but if you've seen it, you don't need to, because you'll know that it is by Tony Moore, the famous for being the Walking Dead artist of the first few issues of that, and it was a long overdue commission that he was doing for somebody, and it sort of it looks like it's sort of painted by hand in color as well. It looks it's glorious.
Yeah, the Baroness is crouching, sort of defensively, firing a machine gun or submachine gun, sort of like an Uzi, and holding a pistol, having just ejected a bullet. She's lit by this sort of aqua colored light. That's what's emanating from her Uzi, but some red blasts are hitting the wall above her, and she's standing ankle deep in debris and weapons and corpses. And she's sort of torn and battered and a little bloody, and sort of subtly, there's sort of only like 3 colors in this whole piece. There's black, there's this aqua, and there's this red, and then anything is like white mixed into that red or white mixed into that aqua. It's quite striking.
Cool. So I think that was it for the news, which gets us into the issue at hand, which was brought to us by the creative team of writer Larry Hama, artist Andrew Krahnke, rhymes with donkey, colorist Francesco Segala, with Sabrina del Grosso, flatter, letterer is Pat Brousseau, editor Alex Antone, assistant editor Caitlin Chappell, publication design Jillian Crab, production design Richard Mercardo, and creative consultant is Diana Davis.
Let's have a look at the covers in the gallery.
Cover A is drawn by Lee Weeks and colored by Dave Stewart. It's divided into thirds. The bottom third is the ground, which is colored sort of a lavender, like a grayed out purple. And then the upper 2/3 in the middle, Dawn Marino is kneeling, looking tired, having just maybe been through the ringer. Her swords are sheathed, but she's slightly hunching forward and looking at us or past us with determination. There's sort of some steam or smoke coming off of her. In the immediate foreground on the bottom is her visor. She's not wearing her visor, though otherwise she is in costume. Taking up the rest of the 2/3 in the background is sort of a ghostly image of Snake Eyes' head, and then sort of a vacant, cloudy or smoky sky. And what's really striking about this cover is sort of the rainbow of it. I don't know if I said this word to someone and they didn't know what I meant. And whenever I see sort of colors in order of like the visual spectrum, it's like, okay, I see sort of a yellow green and then a green, and sort of then I see red, and then I see purple, and there's not exactly blue. But it is an unusual choice of background color for a G.I. Joe cover. We've seen covers where the background is green because there might be sort of forest or foliage, but this is like a mental mindscape, or it's not a hologram, or a hologram, or a vision. And it's very cool. And it does jump off of the rack. And, we're a couple months now into Lee Weeks' is this the third Lee Weeks cover? Second, third, and third. It's very cool that, this guy who drew an issue of G.I. Joe and drew a bunch of covers back in like 1990, 91 is back doing a run of covers. The work he's done at Marvel and DC in the last 10 years is the best of his career. He's done some covers. He's done some issues of Batman and a Batman special, and his sense of design and sort of old school superheroic flourish. It's like the best of all of the greats. There's some, Joe Kubert. There's some John Romita elegance. There's some, it's just great. This is a fun, interesting cover. Cover B.
Wait. I had a bit of visual reference there for you as well, which was, have a look at the background of this one. It's an unusual sort of lime green going into a darker green at the top of the page. And yeah, sort of slightly mirroring this cover, which is G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe 52. Mike Zeck, Quick Kick, fighting Storm Shadow. Yeah, it's funny because, characters in comics tend to be certain colors. You have more color characters that have like red and blue on them, and maybe fewer that have like yellow on them. And it's all about sort of preferences and costume design, and what colors are the characters in the foreground sometimes suggests what the colors in the backgrounds are. It's like, how often is there a Batman cover with a green background? Very rarely. How often is there a Batman cover with a like dark blue background or a gray background or a black background? Pretty often. Yes, that is a good comparison. Thank you. 328B is Lee Weeks, just pencils and inks, just inks. He's inking digitally, and it's a really fun comparison here because you can see that he is doing the shade tones on Dawn's eyes, on the front part of the visor, on her arms, and it reminds me of how like Tim Sale was drawing, say, Daredevil Yellow when he was doing ink washes for Matt Hollingsworth, who's done one of these Lee Weeks covers to apply flat colors over, but you get this effect of darks and lights within the color palette. And then cover C is painted by Steve Beach. It's one of the Gears of Joe themed covers where we see a G.I. Joe character and a G.I. Joe vehicle. And here's Roadblock. The camera is at waist height, so we're looking straight at him, but from the midsection. So by the time we're seeing his head, we're looking very, very slightly up at him. He is standing over with his legs spread the recon sled. Is that what this is? This is the weirdest G.I. Joe vehicle from the 1980s. Its ignominious sort of best appearance is like showing up for 2 seconds in G.I. Joe the movie before getting blown up. 3 of them and 3 Joes get thrown off them because of some Cobra Law, like starfish suction bombs. I like the idea of this vehicle, but I gotta say, as a kid, my brother and I both saw this and thought, no, because it's sort of neither here nor there. It's like not really a motorcycle. It's not really a tank, and it's not a motorcycle tank, but it's fun that Beach sort of took it on here. Speaking of green backgrounds, here's a green background, which similarly is the sort of upper 2/3 of the cover. This one is more of a flat green, although there's a little bit of a gradient, and then the ground on the bottom third is like tan, as if it's, beach dirt. Roadblock's holding his giant machine gun and firing. There's some yellow highlights on his left side, and then some blue reflected light on his head, neck, and arm on his right side, which is really fun. Barking Fridge chimes in and says Hawk drives one of the recon sleds in the PSA "Don't cross railroad tracks." That's a good reminder. I do like this painting. Roadblock looks great. I do wish he was bulkier. This is a thing. This is a bee in my bonnet, since a highly regarded G.I. Joe writer once said to me, Roadblock should be drawn really big. And so now whenever I see an artist who draws Roadblock slightly big or not big at all, I think bigger. What's fun about this vehicle is that I don't think we have never seen it rendered so realistically, and we've rarely seen it rendered at all. But it looks like metal, and it looks like glass, and there's the yellow highlight on it under the front tip of the machine gun, and then the like stenciled what we put on as a sticker, for United States and NYZ 516, like a serial number. I don't love this vehicle, but I think I love this cover.
Very good. Did this vehicle get a regular retail release?
Yes.
Or okay, because I didn't get released in the UK, but I sort of remember it from the back of the comics where they had like a direct to market kind of direct to consumer kind of mail order division. There we go. There's Hawk on the retail on the recon sled. He can sneak under that barrier on that vehicle.
I'm trying to remember. Does this PSA, are the kids riding bikes and they're gonna like scooch over the railroad tracks? Because if so, he's just inviting them to jump over the railroad crossing bar and the recon sled. He should have shown up in the Havoc, or he should have landed in the Dragonfly. Squishy O says obscure G.I. Joe vehicles have had a renaissance over the past 2 years in the comics. True, very true.
I think partly Diana's influence there, that when they're looking for suggestions, she might pick a few out of left field. And they're just for context as well, is one of your rare Batman covers with a bright green background. Back when Michael Golden was doing this incredible run of covers on Detective Comics.
Yes, this is 630. He did 3 covers in a row or 4 covers in a row, and all of them are in that hardcover coffee table book, Batman cover to cover, that just celebrates the best 500 Batman covers ever.
Okay.
And it's divided by section. That book is out of print. Sorry to tease everyone. Mark, are there any retailer exclusive covers for G.I. Joe 328?
A few this time round. We have got this one from Ito of Storm Shadow. So it's this sort of quite pared back watercolor style illustration from Ito, which serves as a companion piece to the Snake Eyes one, which was on the front cover of G.I. Joe 21 in the Energon universe. Actually, no, it wasn't. I'm making that up. No, the Storm Shadow was G.I. Joe issue 21 because he was in that issue.
Right.
This cover for this issue is this Snake Eyes one because ARAH universe.
And Snake Eyes is definitely in the snow in this new issue 328 of G.I. Joe. So this cover, this beautifully painted watercolor with a really evocative, abstract, wet on wet color background that's sort of dark gray and dark blue green and red with sort of a red moon or Land of the Rising Sun, Japanese flag circle, red circle. All those things definitely appear in this issue.
Yeah, I believe actually the original art initially had a smaller red moon or whatever it is, which grew inside. This watercolor painting is or was available from Ito's art rep, which is Kirby's comic art.
Look at the red reflected light on Snake Eyes' wrist, his chest, and his visor. Right? There's no discernible light source, but you see little glints of yellow-orange down there and on his chest as well. So it feels like on the left side of this, sort of down the hill a little bit, maybe something's burning. There's a big fire. Cool.
The next one is the Jonathan Knight Scarlet. I think I need to create a Scarlet covers jingle. So there is a trade dress version and a Virgin foil without logo of the same image with this. I don't know. It looks almost like oils, but like a sort of a heavy kind of paint effects.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's been painted with a palette knife because they're like smears with sort of like hard edges where the paint dissipates, like they've been spread on, like smeared on with a palette knife. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, the crate she's sitting on sort of it's like sketches out and isn't fully rendered, and the background where she's in front of it's not a definitive space. It's not like the back of a warehouse or a wall. It's just 4 colors and then the underpainting light beige or canvas.
And this one is available from Big Clutch. The Ito was a top shelf comics one, so quite difficult to find and quite expensive, I'm sure.
Mark, every month we call out these retailers that have these special covers. Shouldn't they send us one as a thank you?
They shouldn't they?
Should we be soliciting some small sponsorship deals?
Maybe.
Spending a full 3 minutes on each of these, right?
And the last one is David Diaz, Lady J variant, which I believe is available from Eastside Comics, KRS Comics, and the Comic Mint. So quite often you'll see these comic shops sort of going in together, teaming up to commission and create a cover, and then sort of sharing it amongst themselves, so they don't have quite as many issues that they need to clear and sort of, I guess, share risk and reward between themselves. So this is Lady J in her green jumpsuit with a black cap. She's got sort of like aviator type sunglasses on, doffing the cap, and a G.I. Joe flag in the background with a sort of sunset behind her.
I think that cap is dark blue and her shirt is black. But yes.
Cool. Barking Fridge says he's going to suggest Richard Marx Hazard Part 2 for the Scarlet cover parody. Why? Just because.
Oh, I'd like to sing a Richard Marx song. I don't know that song. I know Endless Summer Nights. I know that one about Jenny. Anyway, talk about comics.
Yeah, let's get on into the interior of this one properly. With a plot breakdown. But before we get there, let's just remind people from this point onwards, there are spoilers.
Watch out! There's spoilers ahead! Turn back before it's too late!
Plot breakdown.
In a pyramid inside a mountain, in Sierra Gordo, a G.I. Joe team of Dawn, Jinx, Covergirl, Downrage, and Sherlock are successfully battling through a squad of blue ninjas, aka Blingers. But a damaged android with an RPG shoots at a reactive armor, which sets off a massive explosion that knocks out Dawn and unleashes Snake Eyes' repressed memories from her head memory thing, the way, that works. And they come to the surface. We see Dr. Venom implanting a hidden command into her into his subconsciousness, which is now in her subconsciousness. And it's a ticking time bomb Easter egg in the attic, the metaphorical attic, of his mind. Dawn realizes that this might compromise Snake Eyes. Coincidentally, at that exact same moment, at Cobra Island, an image appears on the brainwave scanner. An image of this very same attic that contained the Easter egg time bomb. Oof.
Can I do my top down reaction to this issue?
Go for it.
Andrew Krahnke is more and more channeling Michael Golden in this issue, and it makes me very happy. Folks, look at the picture on screen right now. Not the cover, but the Krahnke panel that Mark has excerpted, which is from page 2. It's the first panel of page 2. Look at those lines on the blue ninja's forehead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And then look at the slashing shape under the sound effect, right? The curled lines and the sort of effect lines. And it's not just there. The most Michael Golden thing in this whole issue is on page 5, which I'll just hold up. But Mark, if you want to grab it, it's panel 2 on page 5. Where just the inking on the guy's hair and again his forehead and subtly, not quite as much yet, but the RPG, the page layouts, the panel compositions aren't saying as much to me, Michael Golden. Although this one here is starting to feel very Golden. This is like the second to last page or the third to last page. That pose on Jinx. That feels very Michael Golden, and I don't thank you. And Francesco Segala's colors. I don't know that Segala is trying to do Golden because, like most of Golden's covers, he draws and also colors, and occasionally his comics, he draws and also colors. The Nam issue 1, he colored. I think he colored Avengers Annual 10. I think he colored the final issue of Marvel Fanfare, which he drew, which had been sitting in a drawer for a while, and because that's what Marvel Fanfare was, folks. And so I'm not seeing like a ton of Golden in the color, and I don't know that if Krahnke was doing Golden, he said so to Segala, but where Segala's colors feel a little bit. Can you go back to the previous image actually that you had? There's this panel in the middle on the bottom where this is not like specifically Michael Golden, but because this feels old school, right? Like let's just do a solid yellow as a background. which like you'd never get in a Jim Lee issue of Batman Hush or Justice League New 52 or Suicide Squad Rebirth, right? Like that's not how Alex Sinclair colors Jim Lee, for example. But lots of 80s comics and 70s comics, when someone's surprised, just gives them a yellow background. So I'm seeing overtly here and there and subtly sort of all over the place, Michael Golden and a Michael Golden feeling. And that's fun.
Interesting, Tim. So sounds like we've got a positive top down from you, at least from the art perspective. Sort of my straw poll, my sense from seeing comments online was that the general feeling sentiment was that the art on this one wasn't quite as popular as some of the other issues. Sometimes it's hard to separate necessarily the story and the art, and there's potentially some stuff going on in the story that might have put people's backs up too a little bit. Interesting. You've come in heavy with a thumbs up on this one.
I will also say this is now the third Andrew Krahnke issue in a row, and we had noted the first of these had a lot of pep and detail. And the second one, last month's issue, 327, felt like Krahnke had less time to draw the issue. It's not a criticism that he's not as good. That's we think, a reality of the schedule. And in fact, it ends up being a compliment if he did a really good job in spite of a quick turnaround. Did it look as flush and exciting as his previous issues? No. What is a professional? A professional is someone who does the best job they can in the time allotted. Right? What is a professional not? Someone who does their best work and better than their best work on the first half of it and then runs out of time and can't deliver the second half of the issue, or does an amazing job on the first couple pages and a crappy job on the final pages. And that's not what happened on the previous issue or this issue. This issue is consistent all the way through, right? Some of the backgrounds don't have as much information. And I made this comment last month on the previous issue. There are a few panels where it feels like Krahnke picked an angle that would be a little simpler to draw, and that's a smart time save. So I agree. Is this his best art on this series? No. Am I still happy with Krahnke in a little bit of a hurry? Very much.
Good. That's positive. For me, the issue felt like a little bit of a letdown. The art, maybe didn't resonate with me quite as much, but it was more on the story side that, going back to that synopsis and what we were, promised. Looking ahead and seeing what was suggested, I was thinking to ourselves, we've had this clone Snake Eyes introduced in issue 300, basically. And he was being created by Dr. Mindbender to essentially be an evil, Cobra brainwashed version of Snake Eyes that they could control. And he was somewhat embraced by the G.I. Joe team without an awful lot of kind of checking, that due diligence, let's say, of his mental state and all of the rest of it. And we noticed that he was quite trigger happy on that earlier issue when he was kind of shooting those terrorists on the rooftops and all of that kind of thing. And thinking, is there potentially something a little bit off with Snake Eyes? Is maybe some of that Cobra, brainwashing or attempted brainwashing coming through? And I thought that this issue was going to suggest that the G.I. Joe's haste to kind of embrace and welcome this new cloned Snake Eyes and treat him like he's the real Snake Eyes maybe was too hasty, and what was it? The hens are coming home to roost. Is that the right one? And
I think the chickens are right.
Sorry, yeah, but it's not that story at all. It's a brand new MacGuffin that they're introducing of a flashback to issue number 10 and Dr. Venom coming back and brainwashing or putting in this Easter egg into Snake Eyes' brain. And it just felt a little bit going back to the fairly dry well that we've already seen Dr. Venom for two significant chunks of the IDW run. And given that the new Snake Eyes has had this much more recent brainwashing experience, it seemed a bit strange that they'd have to go all the way back to issue number 10 to create this new kind of story hook. So I wasn't enamored with that sort of plot overall, let's say.
Where the story caught my attention in a not positive way was in the dialogue on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Is it 17? It is 17.
Is this
on
them
page
talking
17.
about the explosion?
This is all 5 character. This is 4 of the characters. Yes, talking about the explosion. So,
Okay.
Jinx says, I won't do the whole bit of dialogue, but Jinx starts, an explosion is the rapid expansion of gases, ... And then CoverGirl picks up and says, well, the pyramid was built of solid cyclopean stones, ... And then Dawn, not ... dash. So she's going to continue, but someone sort of interrupts her. Dawn says, well, whereas the Terror Drome, ... And then someone, I can't tell who, because in the next panel, they're all very, very, very small. But let's say Sherlock says, when the RPG hit our breaching charge, ... And then Downrange finishes the thought and says, effectively turning the pyramid into a giant mortar. And there's some fun jargon. And I do like the sort of munitions and science and physics explanation of it. But if these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters, if the dialogue is written as this one long explanation and then it's cut up into 5 different segments and given to each of these characters, then they're interchangeable. No one says, wait, what happened? And then the other 4 explain it. You know, like in Ninja Turtles, you sort of expect anything to do with technology, Donatello is going to introduce it or explain it. You know, every sort of IP has that, and G.I. Joe doesn't do that. Like, I didn't need Mainframe to like radio in, be like, wait, I can explain this because I'm the computer guy, or like Bazooka because he's an explosives guy, right? Or Tunnel Rat because he's an explosives guy. I like the idea of this page, but I need the dialogue to be more differentiated, or like 1 or 2 of them to sort of understand part of it that's about, I don't know, architecture. And then the other 2 or 3 of them are talking about gases expanding. And because otherwise it should have just been one of them explaining it to the rest of them. So that's weird.
Yeah. I've just pasted as a note, and I'll flash it up on the screen from my show notes what I was going to say about this page.
Dialogue explaining pyramid explosion is awful. Every character is a science lecturer.
It's like they're reading all from the same very very jargony science textbook explaining this particular event, and they're all expert knowledge in the physics involving it. And I'm just repeating what you're saying here effectively, but it felt like the characters are interchangeable. They're all experts. They've all got this advanced knowledge of the physics of explosions. And writers, when they're talking about their characters, it's always character first, and any character, you're not going to get the same dialogue from one character as you would another character, because they've got their own experiences, etc., and they're based on people or whatever. But here it did feel like any one of these could have been saying it. Well, a specific science expert should have been saying it, but you can't just have this. This doesn't feel like realistic dialogue that you would have as an interplay between people. It was a bizarre.
I mean, if I could make one small change, if I can't completely redo the page, I would not have Dawn taking part in this, because she just got her brains rattled. No, I'm serious. I actually feel like she should sit this bit of dialogue out, and she should just have her hand for her forehead and sort of be watching and listening, and anyone else can take her word balloon here.
And she dropped out of school to become a ninja, And so I don't think she took advanced physics.
Well, but at the same time, you have to go through all sorts of military school to join G.I. Joe, you know, like
yeah, and there was this one time that Snake Eyes watched this documentary about explosions in Mayan temples, and she remembered it from that. Barking Fridge here sort of makes the point that we're getting exposition here, that, you know, that we've got an odd and very specific thing that has happened with this Terror Drome, which is inside a temple, which is inside a mountain, and the mountain has exploded and disappeared. And we don't see the Terror Drome again, but we do see a few, you know, the smoke coming out.
Step pyramid.
Yeah, and so it's got to be explained somehow, and it's with this it's with and even with all the explanation, I'm not entirely sure I'm convinced. It seems like a very clean destruction of this very strange mountain with a pyramid inside of it.
Squishy O says, I still think I need a diagram to figure out how the pyramid survived. This doesn't have to be mainframe, but I'll just be lazy and I'll pick mainframe. If in the first panel, Jinx or CoverGirl is holding up their like G.I. Joe tablet, and they're like, Duke, what are we looking at? And then there's a panel back at the pit of Duke, Psych Out, Stalker, and Mainframe doing this dialogue as if they're all reading from like a science article, or Mainframe, I guess he's the brainy guy because computers. And then we can cut back to the final panel here as is, and Downrage can finish the thought. Oh, effectively turning the pyramid into a giant mortar and the Terror Drome into a frangible munition. So I don't think it would take a lot. I think you could, Barking Fridge says, needed short fuse or downtown. Let them explain mortars. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of the issue, because I want to point out two fun things about the first page. One, look at that interesting coloring on panel 2, right? The blue ninjas are so illuminated by the machine gun fire coming at them, right? That's not literal, but Francesco Segala is choosing to create this high contrast panel in the middle of these two sort of normally colored panels, the first one and the third one, where there's like colorful Joes and slightly colorful blue ninjas in disguise in this, you know, greenish gray stone hallway. But that second panel just completely changes the page, because the three guys are like almost pure white, and then you have this like light yellow orange gradient in the background, and then the sound effects are white. So it's a very small thing, but I love it. And we would never see a page colored like this during the IDW run. And
if they didn't go for something like this, I think the page would end up looking quite muddy with all of the kind of green. So it does create a good contrast and divide between the panels 1 and 3.
Folks, if you are making a comic and you want to do something like this, consider when your character gets really, really angry, your protagonist or your antagonist or your protagonist's betrayed friend, make the whole panel red. Or make the character all red and the background all yellow. Just a thought. And then on the bottom of this first page, this is the kind of dialogue shared between two characters that I like, where Sherlock starts an idea and Downrange finishes it, and it ends up being a joke. It's not an amazing joke, but it's a small joke. Sherlock says, don't count your chickens. And Downrange says, until they come home to roost. And that's a fun mixing of metaphors. These two, a literal mixing of metaphors. And, you know, I like caught myself thinking like, wait, is that right? Oh, it's not. Ha ha ha. I get it. And that's just a very, very small thing. And then we have a fight for the next, for page 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And I quite like this. Is it the best G.I. Joe fight? No. Do I need more blue ninjas? No. Is it fun at least that they're in sort of human disguise with clothing? Yeah, that feels different.
And it's a fun thing with Dawn sort of chopping this guy's head in half and the top part sort of flopping back.
Absolutely.
And Jinx sort of, and you're thinking, Jinx makes a bit of dialogue that you think might need to pay attention to for a little bit of an explainer later on, that lateral bisection is the way to go with the Revanche androids, all their logic control systems being centrally located. So she's going down the middle.
Yeah, she's going up, down, whereas Jinx, Dawn keeps going left, right.
Yeah, horizontal. Yeah. So there's that chop, and then it sort of pays off with this panel on the top of page 5, where you kind of get a POV of the Blue Ninja looking kind of upside down
from the Blue Ninja.
Yeah, from the Blue Ninja, as he's looking kind of upside down as the top of his head has flopped over backwards. So he's seeing them escaping while he's sort of pointing his RPG forwards to set off that special, what do they call it? The special reactive armor. Yeah.
And then on page 6, we cut back to this command module inside the Terror Drome. It is a little weird that we don't... I take that back. We do see a smidge of the Terror Drome in this issue. We see a smidge of it on page 3. I mean like an exterior, not this interior command module. We see the curve of it, and we see sort of the like outcropping at like 12 feet high, and that doorway that they were like maybe going to blow open. So in a very general sense, something that I appreciate about this is that when we see a Terror Drome, we want it to get blown up. You know, it's like when you see the villain headquarters, the villain space station, the villain submarine, you want to see it blown up, right? Picture, the Terror Drome, the Technodrome from Ninja Turtles, the Death Star, right? Whatever it is. And in last issue, I thought, they can't blow this up because the walls are explosive and it's in this pyramid. And I think Larry Hama created a funny puzzle challenge for himself. How do I blow up this Terror Drome without blowing up this important archaeological step pyramid? I don't think it quite works. But anyway, Barking Fridge says, this was my next point. Barking Fridge says, Saw Viper is a big guy. He doesn't skip leg day or any day. Yeah, that head's a little small for a giant body, but I'll chalk that up to Andrew Krahnke cartooning. He does slightly exaggerate his people, not just Roadblock. Go for it. Mark.
I did sort of, and this is a bit odd because I don't know that it should necessarily be the case, but it did slightly catch me by surprise that the Sword Viper and the Techno Vipers were actually inside the Terror Drome itself. That for whatever reason, I thought they were sort of observing from afar. And I think it might be because of this panel from the previous issue where it sort of sets up the mountain, and then the next shot is the Saw Viper looking out of what looks like a window. Maybe it's a screen. And so I kind of thought this is kind of their POV, that they're a little bit of a ways out.
They're looking at the mountain covered in forest, which has a pyramid under it and a Technodrome in it. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that they are inside the Terror Drome itself, but it wasn't one that actually I twigged until we got to the page where it says inside the Terror Drome.
Right. Okay, but now go forward 2 pages, right? Now we're on page, I don't know what it is. We've got this big splash with this very exciting explosion. And those speed lines on that explosion do look like Michael Golden. And the pose looks a little bit like Michael Golden. And Krahnke is using a curvilinear, like a global, a slight fisheye perspective on those railroad tracks and on the opening, the mine shaft opening itself, or whatever it is, the hallway opening itself. So it does feel a little bit more golden. So Hama is trying to give himself, he's trying to draw out the RPG round going off so that when it does hit, it's got a lot of physical impact, but also like for the reader, some impact. It's like, okay, there's a missile rocket thing. And also it's hitting a thing that's covered in C4. And also that wall was explosive anyway. And then maybe we add on like all the munitions in the armory of the Terror Drome. So he's trying to really rattle Dawn so that she earns this crazy going into her brain flashback. And separate from if I like that we're flashing back to issue 10, I really love the next 5 pages. Is the brainwave scanner old hat? Yes. Is this issue a double whammy because there are blue ninjas and a brainwave scanner? Yes, I guess I would say. Yes. But we have seen sort of the visualization of the mindscape when someone is strapped into the brainwave scanner. I know it's been more recent, but the one I always go to is issue 91, drawn by Tony Salmons, right? Where Clutch...
Are you thinking about the dreadnoughts stomping about in...
in Clutch's brain. And now we have this really cool visual that Krahnke does where the shape of these panels are Snake Eyes' visor. Snake Eyes version 1. So even if the story doesn't quite work for me or the story logic doesn't quite work for me, the issue is drawn with some verve. And I really like this storytelling visual that it's now POV. This is what Snake Eyes saw back in issue 10 of G.I. Joe. We are looking out of Snake Eyes' visor. We're seeing Dr. Venom turn and come to us and punch us. And I don't need Dr. Venom to come back. I didn't need him to come back in the IDW run. Didn't even go a step further. Didn't Mindbender think he was Venom and like start wearing a wig or something?
Yeah, Venom took over Billy's brain for a bit towards the beginning of the IDW run, and then he also took over Mindbender's brain for a bit, and then he cut off his moustache and started wearing a wig and pretended to be basically Dr. Venom come back until he then transferred his brain into a giant robot thing.
Wow. I think this is overly complicated. I think, back to your comment about sort of what the plot summary before the issue came out, what you thought it might be. But if this is what we got, I really love these 5 pages where I don't want Dr. Venom to come back, but if he's going to come back in a memory of something that actually happened, as opposed to like his memory engrams are now like making someone else act like him, which is sort of a big leap for me.
Yeah, so it's someone else's memories of Venom and then the consequences of what Venom did a long time ago, coming home to roost.
Right. And then the most striking panel in this whole issue is on page...
This one, with the strange Venom.
No, I was going to say the next one. I was going to say the next one. This room. We got to talk about this room. This is Snake Eyes' room. Either before he goes off to Vietnam or when he comes back, because his dress screens are hanging up, and there's a Cadence Clearwater Revival poster, and there's Steve Earle. Is that a musician? I should know this.
Yep.
And then what is this? What is this word?
There's one all the way on the far right, which I think says American Ninja 2.
Well, that's the 80s.
We're in a continuum.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2026. Snake Eyes went to Southeast Asia. He didn't go to Vietnam.
And there's a box of
and
records.
There's a Milk Crate of records, and there's a basketball, and there's a trophy, and there's some skis, and a lava lamp.
Oh yes,
and and 2 pictures of people that feel sort of like the Hardmaster, although I don't think it is. I just sort of don't know. And then there's a footlocker, the actual thing that, if you go to camp or go to combat, you might have. And look at these faces on Andrew Krahnke is not trying to draw like Andrew Wildman, but look at these Andrew Wildman faces. Big smile and like angular like jaw from the cheekbones. So, does everything in the issue story-wise work? No. Does the art and color just really skip like every, page or two? And Segala always does this, but even within this Mindscape stuff with Venom, the colors keep changing. And as planting something for the next issue or two, I am excited. Like what is this? What is this seed that's being planted? This actual Easter egg.
I mean, there's a bit of a leap in logic in terms of this is Dawn, who has got a bonk on her head, and she is seeing Snake Eyes' memories from all the way back in issue 10 when he was in the brainwave scanner with these memories that have been downloaded into Dawn's brain. But a lot of this sequence is more from Dr. Venom's sort of POV than necessarily it is from Snake Eyes. I think the no prize here is that, or the explainer for it is that he's monologuing as he's doing all of this stuff. So Snake Eyes is hearing it. So sort of explaining what it is that he has been doing. Yeah, he's got a bit of an odd shape to his word balloons. Have you noticed that? They're sort of a little bit wavy, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is a haunting, right? This is metaphorically a ghost. This is an echo, a memory engram, if you will, to use a term I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of an odd sequence, and there's a little bit of not necessarily being completely faithful to the events of issue 10. So let's have a look at that. We were underneath this arcade, this glorious arcade that they refer to, and it's the first time that we see the brainwave scanner in this issue, as Dr. Venom sort of he's doing a lot of explaining and putting an apple on the monitor. But in the pages of the comic itself, it didn't look like he necessarily had a huge amount of time to do his thing before they're distracted by the Joes and he leaves the room. And then there's this element where obviously Snake Eyes goes into this meditative state where he slows down his heartbeat and convinces Venom that he's dead. And at that point in time, he's in the brainwave scanner with this sort of mask brainwave helmet thing over the top. His mask has been taken. His actual Snake Eyes mask has been taken off. So having a POV through Snake Eyes' mask isn't necessarily completely representative of what it had at the time. So it's a little bit of a slight retconning of the feeling of what happened there, rather than necessarily what exactly happened in that sequence from issue 10.
Can you go back to that first panel, the first image you had from issue 10 after the arcade?
Yep.
You were saying that Snake Eyes isn't strapped in for that long. How much time do you think has elapsed until we get to this first word balloon, right? Less than 5 miles away.
Yeah,
I shall endeavor to explain this procedure as simply as possible, Cobra Commander.
The brainwave scanner at this point in time seems a little bit more rudimentary as well. He's trying to record images and
rather than get a complete download of someone's everything brain.
Yeah, and to try and get specific memories rather than necessarily implant things in the same way. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Barking Fridge. I think it was before they unmasked him in issue 10. We don't even know exactly how long Snake Eyes was in there before that Billy and Scarlet escaped. So yeah, that's the explainer, isn't it? That it's somewhere between the panels. That it's a point in time that we don't see. So I'm not going to object too strongly to to that, or the fact that the Venom's wearing a different coloured tie. Maybe the different coloured tie shows the lapse of the time even.
I mean, it depends on the page. Here it is red.
Oh, right, okay.
It says that's Segala changing his palette every page or two.
Yeah, although potentially it's illuminated red by the by the nature of what's happening in that screen. Right. So then we're back with Dawn.
Yeah.
And she's now sort of conveying to the others about what she's seen, that she's realized that that Snake Eyes has potentially got something dangerous planted in his mind, and they want to warn the Joes about it. There is a moment there that's a little bit later on. I'll flag as one of my objections, which is that Sherlock immediately says, "Duke, Sherlock here. Listen, something has come up that might compromise Snake Eyes, Dawn, and Sean." So I think Sean, and I don't know why Sean would be compromised, because he doesn't have any of the other ninjas' memories in his brain. He's just got the damaged face and burns and ninja skills, but not the Snake Eyes memories. So if we want to go nose prize here again, rather than it being the writer making mistake, potentially Sherlock is just confused about the nature of Sean and his being Snake Eyes, and assumes that he must have some Snake Eyes memories in his own mind, but he doesn't. And let's have a reminder of the Snake Eyes Venn diagram of what they've got.
Who made this?
This is me.
This is amazing.
So you have the original Snake Eyes. He's a mute. He's a ninja. He's got burns. He's got a wolf. So the Snake Eyes clone has got the original Snake Eyes DNA. Snake Eyes' memories downloaded into his brain from the brainwave scanner. A timber wolf, and also a scarlet girlfriend. Dawn, she's got an overlap with the Snake Eyes clone of having his memories, their shared memories, and also that same athletic ability. So she's got ninja training, she's got Snake Eyes' memories, she's also got boobs and lacrosse skill, let's not forget, as well as ninja training. Also sharing ninja training is Sean, who did train with the Arashikage. He is also mute, and he has burns, but significantly he has no Snake Eyes DNA and no memories downloaded into his brain. So that's the main sort of crossovers and differences, the sames and differences, I like to call them, between the 3 or 4 Snake Eyes here. And Sherlock will do well to print this out and keep it, maybe laminate it and have it in her field cake.
Folks, if you are just listening to this episode and not watching it, when Mark said Venn diagram, he meant an actual Venn diagram. This is a very helpful graphic of 3 overlapping circles, and it's color coded with all 4 of these characters. And I'm impressed. We've seen this before, right? But did I forget it? This isn't brand new.
No, I did this a few months ago. Yeah.
There's a small thing happening on page 18.
Squishy's got a nice no prize. Throwdown is totally loyal to Snake Eyes, so there's a risk that if Snake Eyes turns evil, then Sean will join him with that evilness. It's like a sort of an evil, WWE tag team or something like that. That you compromise one, you compromise both. Barking Fridge has got a no prize attempt. Sean was captured in Snake Hunt. We don't know what happened. He might have had a jolt in the scanner for fun. It does not take long, as we have seen in the past. Tim.
On page 18, there's another art thing that I like, which is panel 3, which is a flashback where Dawn in costume is strapped into the brainwave scanner. Cobra Commander, Dr. Mindbender, when he still had a Dr. Mindbender costume, and the Baroness are standing there. And the coloring here, you can see the coloring resolution is lower. You can see dots it's meant to look like comics color printing from the 1930s to the early 1990s. And although when does this course, when would this scene have taken place?
Well, this is a key interesting part. So Dawn describes here, she says, the memories that Dr. Mindbender implanted in me via the brainwave scanner, the memories that were supposed to transform me into the Cobra equivalent of Snake Eyes. So there's some major retconning going on here because, after all, so there's that speech bubble. In the Dawn profile from last month, there was a little segment there which sort of seems to suggest something similar. It says Dawn was born and raised in Springfield. Yep. Grew up indoctrinated in a Cobra mindset. Yep. Her athletic prowess in her high school, specifically lacrosse, led her to being selected to be the Cobra Super Ninja. Sort of. Cobra Commander saw her abilities and I guess wanted to kind of groom her, and they initially kind of had her as a kind of bodyguard for Cobra Commander. Dr. Mindbender used the brainwave scanner to program her with all of Snake Eyes' stored memories. She became a living repository of Snake Eyes' memories and skills. But his sense of ethics leaked through the programming, and she defected to the G.I Joe team, where she assumed much of his duties. And that doesn't necessarily call it out particularly, but it sort of indicates a little bit of intent there on this particular dossier and on the previous page that they wanted to program Dawn, but it was actually a bit more of an accident, and her leaving Cobra wasn't necessarily to join G.I Joe. It was more that she was completely freaked out by the memories. And this panel here of Mindbender, Baroness, and Cobra Commander all together trying to put these memories into Dawn's head.
Did she not have her costume yet?
No, she didn't have her costume yet, Tim. That's a key element. So the accident where she had Snake Eyes memories installed was in issue 227. Her uniform was not actually introduced until much later.
Sorry.
Her uniform was not introduced until much later in issue 244. So quite some considerable time later. And I've got the original.
Is it where I can sing the theme song to the sitcom 227?
Well, I don't know that.
No place like home with your family around you. You're never alone, etc.
So I don't know that sitcom at all. So this is the original 227 issue. They were, they would put her in the scanner, and it was, I think, what do they call, basically, have a little bit of a top up indoctrination. And then they just essentially muck things up. Zartan comes in, disguised as Cobra Commander, and distracts them. Zorana sort of starts mucking around. Baroness says, there's no instruction manual. We just have to barrel ahead by trial and error. Let's see what this does, Zorana says, as she presses a random button. And then...
I think let's see what this does is... Oh, sorry. Correct. You said Zorana, not Baroness. Please continue.
And then they sort of start accessing Snake Eyes' memories, and there's a warning, auto download activated, awooga, and they're trying to shut it down, and it sort of catches fire, and it all goes a bit wrong, and Dr. Mindra, is completely sort of surprised by what's going on. He says, "What's going on here? Where's Dawn? She was strapped in a minute ago. Did you alter the download in any way? You implanted Snake Eyes memories into the girl. What have you done?" So it was all a big accident and a bit of a snafu, which is being retconned into a kind of intent here. And yeah, the flashback is shown Dawn with her in her costume, but maybe the explainer for that is that when Dawn visualizes herself, she visualizes herself in her costume now, rather than possibly the person that she was. Yeah.
In this flashback panel on page 18 of the new issue, that's got the old school coloring, would that Cobra Commander actually be Zartan disguised as Cobra Commander?
I don't know.
Okay.
You can kind of make it work, possibly. Maybe she didn't know quite what was going on. She was strapped into the brainwave scanner after all, so maybe she just had a feeling that Cobra Commander was there rather than necessarily that he was actually there. Or maybe this is her memory of the thing. Maybe she's come to the viewpoint that there was an intent behind it, that they were trying to brainwash her rather than it just being a complete accident, fluke thing. Yeah, here we go. Barking Fridge has come to a similar sort of conclusion. Tim, do you want to?
Oh, Barking Fridge says, no prize 2. We are seeing this from Dawn's perspective. She never knew the Baroness and Zorana did it. And so when she filed her report, that is the Joe's version of history. Right? So the Joes and Dawn think that Cobra Commander, Mindbender, Baroness did this to her. Squishy says, let's say Dawn cannot recall these events accurately since her brain got zapped. The latest file card is her best attempt to put things together.
I like it. Thanks, team.
So the second to last page of this comic, page 19, has a very satisfying long shot looking down of the Cobra Casino. And I really like this building and this giant, gaudy Cobra sort of sculptural architectural detail on the front of it. And when the Cobra Casino first showed up in, what was it? Maybe 290, 291, 292.
Ish. Yep.
And the pink color of it looked really garish, but you know, it's a resort hotel and sometimes they are. And I just love how there's so many lights in it, these pinpoints of yellow, and then there's this sort of glow around it, illuminating the grounds and even the trees in front of it. I just love this panel, even though this is probably like the least exciting panel in the entire issue, because I like seeing environments. I like being reminded where we are. And this is such a weird building, and it's become so important in the ongoing storyline that I don't want them to forget about it, to forget to show it, or to do like a close-up where I can't quite tell. You know, it's like, no, remind me how close this is to the beach. And in fact, you know, it's on an island. So what do we see in this panel? We see the water on the bottom. We see the beginning of the island, some green, the hotel, some more green, a mountain or volcano, some more island and green, and then the water, and then the clouds. And so this is a reminder that Cobra Island is not very big. And again, we all know this. We've seen diagrams of Cobra Island. It's a famous story or 3 that take place there. But this panel is actually doing a lot of work in reestablishing geography and relative scale. And but it's thankless, right? Because this is really just to get us back into the casino so that Alpha 001 and Mindbender can talk. But in some ways, this is my favorite panel of the whole issue, and it doesn't look like Michael Golden drew it. But that's neat. And I don't love Alpha 001, but I do really like how Krahnke draws this character. This like slight up angle in the second panel of this page, and then looking down on its like tank treads. Can you put that comment back up? Squishy says, I like Alpha 001 on his scooter. You don't mistake him for any other giant robot slug.
True.
I think part of why I think many issues of G.I. Joe over time have had really good cliffhangers. And I'm always a little disappointed when in the modern era, an issue of G.I. Joe has a very small cliffhanger or no cliffhanger. I don't mean if it's clearly the end of a story or a self-contained issue. I mean, if the final panel is a ... you know, keep reading and this will get resolved and stretched out next month. And this final page where Alpha 001 and Mindbender are talking, and I really like Mindbender's body language on the first panel of the final page of this issue, where he's got index finger and thumb on chin, but also sort of arms crossed, you know, like wrist resting on elbow. I like that he doesn't know what this is. Mark, can you update thank you. I like that Mindbender doesn't know what this is, because it seems like when it comes to Brainwave Scanner, Mindbender and Venom always know everything. And it's like, well, they wouldn't know that. And it's like, why are we still doing this? But so on this last panel, I didn't know what that room was besides it's Snake Eyes' room. And I don't think we're going to get any, there's no flashback coming where like Snake Eyes has an argument with his sister in his room, or Stalker and Hawk confront Snake Eyes in his room. Like, no, you got to join the team. Like, what? You're going out? This is just to say the room is a representation of Snake Eyes' sort of inner life, right? So Mindbender doesn't know what this is, and Alpha 001 doesn't know what this is. And I find that intriguing. And in that regard, this final page is sort of a, for me. It's interesting and it's nice. It's not a wow or whoa, right? It's not that kind of cliffhanger. So if this issue was not to your liking, everyone, I think this is part of why. But I do think that in the ongoing story, that room, this seed, I can't actually call it an Easter egg. It's too on the nose. And the fact that it's not just happening to Dawn, but that another faction, Mindbender and Alpha 001, are seeing it happen, or seeing like their version of it. It's like, well, this file just came up. Because Mindbender is not seeing this in Dawn's consciousness. Mindbender is seeing this because
it's coming through the brainwave scanner.
So does that mean that Dawn's brain radioed the brainwave scanner, that this like Trojan file has been executed? That's the thing, is that either there's a massive coincidence, or somehow Dawn unlocking this memory a good chunk of distance away has triggered the brainwave scanner to unlock this file. So that was another element that was a little bit strange, was that, unless there's some active connection back to Dawn's brain, it seems like a bit of an implausible coincidence that that exact moment, this element of the brainwave scanner is triggered. Let me paint for you a Venn diagram. I know this is the G.I. Joe comic book. It is not the G.I. Joe animated series, and it is not the X-Men comic book. But if you can give me a little lateral leeway, maybe you'll feel better about this not actually working. In G.I. Joe cartoons, I'm thinking of Cobra's Creatures, early season 1 episode from 1985, where Dr. Lucifer has High Freak, which is this device that like turns animals. I think this is an episode where Cobra Commander like pushes a button on a screen and he just like sees anything anywhere, as if like Cobra has cameras everywhere. And then there's another episode, is it Nightmare Assault, where Lowlight is remembering his rough childhood, and Dr. Mindbender has invented a machine and we can see Lowlight's nightmares as if like they've been video recorded, and they're like broadcasting on a giant TV in like Cobra headquarters. Okay, so the G.I. Joe cartoon allows for some of this. And then if you think of X-Men comics, Cerebro, right? I know it's kind of explained. It's like, well, this can detect mutants. And I'm sure there's a sentence or a phrase that I've missed over the years. It's like, mutant brainwaves are like a different frequency than Homo sapiens brainwaves, and Cerebro can detect that. Or mutants give off special pheromone, whatever it is. But I can push this button, I can put on this helmet, and the movies do a nice job of visualizing it. Even though it's like, how do you know? It's like, oh, yes, New Mexico. This person is 30 miles from Taos, New Mexico, and they're in a car that's moving right now. They're 13. They just hit puberty. They're a mutant. Go find them. To me, my X-Men. Go find them. But in the X-Men comic, there's this machine that Xavier built, right? Because I guess did Moira McTaggart help him? I don't remember. Did Banshee build it? I don't know. Did it come from Mer Island? I don't remember. But it's in New York. It's in upstate New York, in the basement of this mansion that keeps getting blown up. And when Xavier or Jean puts it on, they can just find people and sort of visualize them, maybe, if the comics have now borrowed from the movies. And so I'm going to say even though the Larry Hama G.I. Joe comic continuity is more grounded than those two things, here it is.
There was a great comment on his tank from Auto Decept, who said, "This is the same comic where at the same moment Snake Eyes died, Sean got his face burnt off so he could become the new Snake Eyes. It's entirely possible that this is another crazy coincidence that gets no explanation beyond a vague comment about Jungian synchronicity." Hey, it's Jungian. What can you say?
And I'm going to guess from Auto Decept's handle on his tank that they are a Transformers fan, and there's a much broader range of, crazy sci-fi, fantasy synchronicities that happen in Transformers comics, where we have aliens, and space, and spaceships, and some time travel. So do you have any other thoughts, Mark, about this issue?
I've got thoughts about the pinup page at the back.
Yeah, we can move away from pages 1 through 20, and we can move to the letters page and the thing after the letters page.
I mean, let's wrap up on the story itself. But sort of overall, a little bit down on this one. I was expecting to go into it, sort of digging it a little bit more. And I had an idea of what I thought I might want or get, and it wasn't this. So that left me a little bit down on it. But, there's always next month to be picked up again. So and ever the optimist.
I have this moment sometimes now. I had this moment between getting the issue this week and reading it and then being on the show where I thought, oh my gosh, this comic is on issue 328. And this is one way of saying they're not all going to be amazing, but no, my favorite comic, it just keeps going. I was so bummed in 94 when the book ended, and I was bummed. I really like the John Statama run now, right after Mark Bright left, and before Andrew Wildman started drawing it. But at the time I was really bummed. And for a couple years when I went to reread those issues, it's like, I don't like how he draws. Now I like it. Also, Randy Emberlin's inking maintains some consistency. But there are so many issues of this comic. And, I think every month Larry Hama gets up to bat. And a part of me wants to think, he can do no wrong. He's very smart. He knows this inside and out. He's pulled off such great stories. He's obviously going to hit a triple or a home run this month again, right? But, sometimes you get up to bat and you get a grounder, or you strike out, or the pitcher hits you with the ball. I don't know what the analogy would be there. With Alex Antone, why are you throwing baseballs at Larry?
But yeah, I mean, and it's also when you're in the middle of it, when it's the live issue that is just out that month. If it doesn't resonate quite as much, you then have to wait a whole another month to see the next one and cross your fingers that might one be better. But right. When you feel like you're also on a plot course where maybe there's a particular plot that you're not necessarily particularly enamored with, that it will take a few months to get on the other side of it, and then sort of be back in a different sort of storyline again. So when you're in that monthly reading it live, it feels a little bit heightened. When it's just another one of the 328 back issues, some of them are good, some of them are less good. It feels like lower stakes, but at least at the moment we do have weekly comics of one sort or another playing in this sort of space that we can enjoy, and we don't have to wait a whole month before we see anything approximating G.I. Joe.
It was just 2 months ago that Larry Hama wrote an issue of G.I. Joe and Andrew Krahnke drew it. And it was an issue that we both liked. It was really grounded. It was a self-contained issue, we thought, and it didn't have any Blue Ninjas. Mindbender wasn't there, back from the dead, and it didn't have any brainwave scanner stuff. It was just, some Joes pinned down in another country dealing with distances, angles, and ammo. So this is one way of saying I'm always up for a self-contained Larry Hama issue. I think a lot of writers are not don't have that. Let me say it nicely. They're bad at it. Let me say it nicely. A lot of writers don't have that training. And another way of saying it is when an ongoing Larry Hama story with some overlapping A and B and C plots doesn't fulfill me, I do think I sure could go for a 20-page self-contained yarn right now. This was the second month in the letters page that assistant editor Caitlin Chappell answered the letters. And there's an explanation here, which I appreciate. Alex Antone is still in the trenches tackling our latest Kickstarter project, which is the 2 compendium sets. That's a pretty massive undertaking. So while he handles that, I'll be handling your letters. And Caitlin Chappell makes the point that it feels neat to be working on a long running series. We've heard that from 1 or 2 other people at Skybound, that it's I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but it's sort of special that Skybound has this book that's got such a high issue number. And this is off topic, but slightly related. A couple days ago at my store, we had our monthly book club, and we do very little superheroes, but this month we were talking about Batman Year One, which everyone thinks of as this, exciting, well-known graphic novel. And people now are reminded that it was 4 issues of Batman because of, facsimile editions. But for a long time, I feel like a lot of people forgot. Well, this was just printed with different coloring as 4 regular issues of the monthly Batman. And at the beginning of book club, I held up a facsimile edition of Batman #1, right, which came out in 1940. And I pointed to the Hush 2 and the Matt Fraction issues where, Batman's now up to issue, 690 or something, if you count the legacy numbering. And I said, even though this Batman Year One story is entirely self-contained, it has no prequel, it doesn't really have a sequel because Miller and Mazzucchelli didn't come back for that. But reading this, you are reading in this continuity of this comic that's come out monthly all the way back to 1940. And I was pointing to the new rack where we got Batman #8 by Fraction, and it's still going to this day. And that's fun. So, this is a very long way of saying what you just said. When a new issue of G.I. Joe with this very high numbering comes out, and it's not to our liking or our favorite, it is helpful to remember, man, this comic has been going and it just keeps going. And in a couple of weeks, there'll be another one. We'll try again.
And the nice bonus extra here was the dossier page for Throwdown, a sort of order of battle style page with a kind of full figure, hero shot of Throwdown and a blurb of text all about him. So Sean Collins, the son of Wade Collins, I think most of us know his story well. Interesting to see, I guess, the look of Throwdown here established with the dossier page, and also the code name sort of being solidified as it Throwdown. So we're not dilly-dallying with Snake Eyes version 2 or whatever else they were calling him. He's got a name, Throwdown, and he's got a look which is the commando style Snake Eyes mask without the visor, because our regular Snake Eyes is now wearing the visored look, and with this red headband, which is in homage to his fallen father. So I think that was an artistic decision from whoever was drawing it at the time. Was it 300 or 301? I want to say it was Mooneyham's decision, but it's possible it was S.L. Gallant in 300. So he picked up Wade's headband and sort of put it on himself, and he's sort of carrying on with that. So, and it's, I guess, suggesting that possibly before too long we might see the return of Throwdown. I don't think he's really shown up significantly in some time.
He doesn't have much to do if Snake Eyes is alive.
Yeah,
I'll just say it. And giving him It's sort of like who's the other Batman? Is it Luke Fox?
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
Lucius Fox's son. There was that series a couple years ago, I Am Batman, where there's another Batman, and he's in New York, and that had followed from the next Batman, which was a miniseries, and you've got 5 Robins and 2 Batmans, and that looked like a pretty good book with a point of view, but I don't think the market wants 2 Batmans if they're not that different. Also, while we're nitpicking about this comic,
are we nitpicking on this particular page?
Well,
because there is a nitpick here.
No, because when back in the issue when Sherlock radios Mainframe, right? She says something that might compromise Snake Eyes, Dawn, and Sean. Start using their code names.
True. The nitpick for this page is that they refer to Wade Collins as being Fred 3. But I think the accurate answer is that he's actually Fred 2.
I thought that was wrong, but I didn't want to say anything because I thought I was wrong. So thank you, Squishy, and thank you, Mark.
And the suggestion, Baki Obasan needs to give Sean a new look, give him some slightly different fighting togs. Maybe they could be green. And he could have a different surname, like codename like Kamakura. That's not going to happen, is it? But yeah. So I think we are pretty much done with this issue. The mission will continue with the monthly comic coming out. Rain and shine. And we've definitely been having rain and shine in terms of weather down here on the south coast of England. June the 10th, the next issue is out. That being 329, which you don't have to be a physicist or expert in Mayan temple explosions to do the maths on that one. An interesting looking cover from Lee Weeks, again with Roblox front and center and Dawn sort of up in some sort of skylight. So
I think the implication is that she's a bad guy and she's attacking. This issue will see the return of Paul Pelletier and Anthony Cordos on art duties.
That'll be fun.
And we still don't know when Pat Oliph's issue is coming, right?
Nope.
Okay. That has not been scheduled that we know of. And before Krahnke was definitely coming back for 3 issues, I think you knew that. So maybe you would ask them. So Mark, have you talked to any G.I. Joe artists and how many Paul Pelletier is about to do or when someone might be coming back?
Actually,
okay.
No, I don't know too far ahead in this one. So this one is 329. We've only had solicits going up as far as 330, I think. So the August solicits will be coming out in the next few days. So that should give us 331. So we should have a better idea then. And as always, if you want to stay on top of the latest comics news, you can head on over to the Talking Joe Facebook group. Links on talkingjoe.co.uk, which is the main website, pointing you to all of the places that we can be found. Typically, Facebook will be the main place where I share the latest news. News, solicits, variant covers, other bits and pieces, commissions that are being done and shared, and various other discussions of people having their own personal read-throughs of these issues and all of that kind of thing. So head on over there, get involved, and while you're doing things, make sure that you have liked and subscribed. So get that count going on up. And yeah, if you are watching this in replay, shoot a comment in there and let us feel let us get a bit of an experience of people feeling like people are sort of enjoying the podcast and all of that kind of stuff and contributing to the chat.
What about the voice memo thing? People can leave us a voice memo, right? What was that one?
They can. There's a voice memo facility, so you can leave a voice note for the show. And we haven't done it for a little while, but we used to a fair amount. And the link to that is at the bottom of the website, talkingjoe.co.uk. There's a link to the voice note facility. And actually, while I'm talking about websites, I should as well make sure that I give the Patreon members a shout out. So a big thanks to all of the Patreon members who find us at patreon.com/talkingjoe. So big thanks to Richard, Sam, Christopher, Shane, Simon, Chris, Joe, Craig D, Shane V2. This one might have been brainwashed back in the 1980s. Infinite Entertainment, Gary V, Coldroff B, Squishy, Matt, and EduB. They're getting early access to content as well as all sorts of extras as well.
Folks, you can find me at my YouTube page, Atomic Abe. New video about Dawson's Creek just went up. I have a comic book store, Hub Comics. That's a physical place you can go in Massachusetts. And I have a blog that I have not posted on recently, but I'll mention it anyway. realamericanbook.com. I have not posted on it because I've been working on my book, which is a book and not a blog. I have been working on chapters 4 and 6 and 8. Some images. I was scanning some background keys just before we started the podcast, talking with the designer. Editor Nick Nadell and I went over chapter 12 yesterday, and it's been like this for several weeks. And sometimes I think I should post on my blog, and then I think, or I could just work on my book. And right now the book is winning out. So I'm sorry if it seems like I'm ignoring my blog, but to the extent that one is Jupiter and the other is Jupiter's moon of Io, Jupiter is more important than Io.
Very good. Tim, when do you think people might be able to get a bit more of a big update on what's going on with your book? What kind of schedule you thinking? You don't have to say if that's too much pressure to put on you now.
Well, it's okay because no one listens to the final minutes of our very long show. I think it'll be done in 2027. But I have made a lot of actual progress in the last 4 months, and I've been working on it many days a week, which was not always the case. So I've got some momentum and a little fire under my chair.
And this isn't one of those projects where you announce it, you get funding for it, and then you have to go away and write it. This will be a finished thing, which when it's ready, will be ready. Yes. Almost ready and waiting in the wings is the person that we are very much the warm-up act to. It is none other than Chris Diagnostic A.T. McLeod of the Full Force podcast, who will be giving his Full Force Weekly in 10 minutes' time, 3 p.m. Eastern, which will include some of the latest comic book news, as well as, I'm sure, an exhaustive look at those very interesting / strange fashion covers on the upcoming Energon Universe books. So look over to Chris for the latest at Full Force shortly. But I'm pretty sure that we've said absolutely everything that needs to be said, unless there's something that's been forgotten, Tim.
I could sing more of the 227 theme, but I don't have all of it in my head. So I'll just say, Nobody Beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
Laters.